to see if I meant it. Oh, I hate it when it does that. So the point of the last video is that we're trained by TV as men to be extra, extra, extra careful that we're giving women everything they want. So if a woman likes you, it's like, oh, good, I'm so lucky you like me. It's like, I can do no wrong. You think I'm a hunk of burning love. Oh, wow, your eyes are dilated. Ooh, I can do no wrong. And then she pulls you in, and you think this is natural. This is sex. It's not. It's stalking. And then maybe she kisses you one night when she's had a couple of beers, and the next day she's like, did you mean it? Did you mean it? And then that's when the relationship begins. And you're like, yeah, of course I meant it. Like, sure, like, you're nice. But do you really like me? But you never think to yourself, did you mean it? She doesn't have to mean it. She just wants to make sure the guy means it. And so the woman, by training, always maintain dominance. Guys are the ones that have to be nice. They have to be nice. It's expected. It's not like, oh, wow, thanks for being nice to me. You don't really have to, but sure. It's no, guys have to be nice to women because you have a vagina. I'm not trying to be rude, but like, because you have that axe hole between your legs, so anyone with a dick has to treat you nicely all the time in every situation, and you expect it. If anything interrupts that, some women erupt in what? Violence, right? The vagina is a passport to getting so much free stuff from men in so many ways throughout a woman's life that I don't, again, no moral agency. She's not responsible for this essentially at this level, right? And we attribute many different unfortunate forces perhaps to it. And she has the right, if she were listening to this, to object or to change her mode of operation, which, if I'm right, would probably be to something more satisfying. Because the point is that when you're getting a lot of stuff for free, it's harder to get satisfied from men. And men are working extra hard to satisfy you. And so it sets up a narcissistic dynamic between men and women. You see? And that's witchcraft. So for me to find a girlfriend, I have to find someone where it doesn't cost me 4 times as much to get 4 times less than she's going to get and not even appreciate and never get what she wants from me. Right? Which means she has to be able to break out of her cultural training and really be able to see that I don't owe her anything and she doesn't owe me anything at all. Nothing should be assumed between a man and a woman. Nothing. You don't owe each other anything. But gender is trained to be mutually annihilating, which means it has to be codependent and narcissistic. Okay? I'm not erasing any of the difficult things that feminism has told us. I'm just trying to add some kind of dynamic intelligence or intelligence about the dynamics as I see them between men and women, and why, and included in which, and commensurate with which, matrimony, finance, culture, and media, and human suffering, and religion are all connected. Which is why you see so many marriages on TV, right? Marriage is a big part of what people are trained to believe about each other and accept about what is a realistic way to become at a certain level that you're ready to start a family, which is really never the case. In fact, it's the opposite, right? And then the families that are able to sort of have relatively decent homes, they've learned to work with that witchcraft, and just like you learn to drink the water in Mexico, that's really great. But if someone else comes into your world and tries to do it, what do they get? Intestinal poisoning, right? Because essentially, even at its best, white culture is carcinogenic. And narcissism is a cannibalistic relationship. It's a carcinogenic relationship, right? Like evolutionary forces, the only one left standing is the one that can eat everybody else. Okay, let's go. All right. Next. Let's keep moving. How many? I don't know. I've been here just a little while, playing with a bone. Those bones came back to life. They told me that the people that I used to know, people that I used to know I'm more than the people that I never really got to know anything. I know humans so well and yet so little because I've only seen the bad side of people. That's why I learn these things because I've seen the violence that comes out of it. There's a lot of, and then if you don't have the full picture, you think, oh God, why are women so like this way? And why are men this way? Well, we've been trained to be that way. Starting with the first conditions. So if a woman comes on to me, it's already, if a woman shows any sexual interest to me at all, right? Prior to 3 years of mutual, pleasant, consistently ethical, then she's completely poured cyanide on anything she ever wants to grow between us. Anytime any woman is remotely sexually interested in me. Danger, 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 danger. Women are so fucking weird when they get aroused by a stranger, by someone they don't know. I never get aroused women that way. Right? And if I have, it's because the woman was aroused first. And I didn't realize it at first. And she's putting out all this estrogen learned through the school system to be very accepting of the first conditions set by an estrogen dominant environment where I was always obedient to women all the time. And austere and adverse prerogatives over my personal sense of self-definition and safety while taking from my home every day. So if women want to know why men hate you, sometimes that's why. But those girls and that teacher and everything, they've never heard any knowledge like what I'm talking about. My family, none of their children for 1,000 years have heard anything like this. No economic, no conspiracy theory, nothing. Because it's a way of talking that honors pain, right? Not that pain is the way, but if there's enough pain, you have to look at it. And there's more pain than there are words for that pain. There's more people than their voices are able to tell us. And you should be fucking terrified by that. We should all be terrified by that. And all who have been terrified by that. And all who have been murdered have been murdered by that. And all who have been raped by that. And every child who is scared this day is hungry has been made hungry and scared by that. So you should want to listen to me. You should want to know what that is. Shouldn't you? You should see this as sacred. You should, every fucking bone in your body should hear the sanctity of my voice and stay your hand from making little fucking comments. Because I'm walking among some of the strongest people on earth. You know what they are, right? You call them trees. I call them my people. The wild woods. The people of the wild woods. They are my people. Hey? These people don't hurt you. They study you. They get a lot out of me without hurting me. And I give myself to them every day. And the ferns, and the ice and the cold. And it's my job to stay warm. It's my job to be able to get cold. I take 2 scalding baths when I get home. Scientifically, you can't actually get into a scalding bath unless you do it early. Otherwise, you're going to hurt yourself. You get burned. So, you know how people walk on hot coals? Well, I do something commensurate with that twice a day. Because if I don't, I'll get sick. That's how I use my time. And yet, if you ask most people who've ever met me, they don't think I do anything. They never learn a fucking thing about me. Because I don't live in their world. I don't speak their language of nothingness. They give their lives to death. It doesn't matter what they've done. It doesn't matter if they're heart surgeons. They give their lives to death. They give it away. They give it away. I don't give it away. You want my fucking time? You're gonna fucking give me your fucking time. I don't want your money. I want your fucking time. You don't have any time for me? Fuck you. Because I'm taking all my fucking time to do this. My entire fucking life is to do this. right? I've done witchcraft and people say, well, that doesn't work. The fuck it doesn't work. I have fucking proof every fucking fucking day of my life. Wherever I live now, I do curses against the Church of the Eastern Star. I've become a ritual. And I've taken several years to finalize that curse. And boy, it changed my life. And this one fucking viewer, some little cunt who doesn't know the first fucking thing about witchcraft, says, oh, that's not going to do anything. It immediately started changing things in my life. Right? Because these churches fucking rule over the mentality of any number of enterprises in your town. The town itself is an enterprise ruled by the Church of the Eastern Star and affiliated forms of industry and dominion. Banks. You'll notice that the banks are actually the owners of your town. They own the whole town, quietly. But no one talks that way. So the English language is made for lying. It's made for denial. The English language is increasingly more compatible with the more degenerate evolution of the modern human mind. Right? The English language has been fashioned for thousands of years of slavery. And the human calendar works with the language, works with the matrimony, works with the media, works with the education, works with the ways that you are trapped, cajoled, trained, and groomed in your body language, in the lack of fidelity between your subconscious and conscious minds, and the lengths to which you must go in any profession or field of life in order to satisfy the unspoken demands placed upon your flesh and blood at costs, any or all, which are to be borne silently. And the measures of your performance should double as the measures of your performance, of your ability to quietly tortured and to mete it out quietly upon others, and not ever spare a sound or a word other than that which cements the common orthodox that life or reality or adult responsibilities demand this. You might as well fucking try and shoot down the moon to try to live any other way. So that when I quit my job at a young age and said, I'm just going to write poetry, everyone said, you can't do that. Well, I've been doing it for 25 bucks, you know? You say, well, there's no great secret to getting welfare. It's like, hey, you're wrong again. It takes a lot to live on welfare. I've lived in $1 million homes my whole life on welfare. How? Because I know what to say no to. And if you know what to say no to, it's better than all the money in the world. This one lady get the brochures, and this will help you get back to work, and this is this, and this is this. She said, of course, I can feel people's energy. I knew she was lying, and I said, is this voluntary? And she didn't say anything. She took all the brochures back, and she canceled my welfare without telling me. So I had to go back and get it reinstated. She literally took an act of yeah, it's none of her business. When people are studying science, they want their probes to be very precise and very accurate. And in science, precision and accuracy are two different things. Okay? You can be very precise and not be accurate. And you can be very accurate, but not necessarily be precise. You know? In other words, you could be right, but not know what region of error your answer exists in. And then I cannot provide a feasible or legitimate amount of information for not only subsequent consideration, but successive orders of consideration to which your measurements may bear some interest or important part of, right? So everything is about getting everything as accurate as you can and knowing how inaccurate it might be, right? So having the right answer and really knowing that it's right and how right it is and how wrong it could be. It's pretty fucking important, right? So like if you're measuring to put a cupboard in and it's like it's 1 3/8 inches, give or take what? a half, an eighth, give or take a 16th maybe, depending on what you think, right? How off could you be? So if you were an engineer, you'd have to know how accurate is the average workman going to be when he's told that this and this has to be a foot and a half long, you know? And so on and so on. Like you have to plan for that, right? So you're not treating tradespeople like, if you cut this pipe, you have to cut it within like 0.00001% accuracy. That's unreasonable. But there is a boundary that would be, and then beyond that boundary, you wouldn't be considered as good a plumber. You know, you should measure twice, you should measure 10 times, and then get the guy beside you to do it properly, right? So accuracy and precision are two different things. And yet, in science, you would want your probes to be very accurate and precise, very sensitive, right? Sensitivity is great, like measurements, right? But it's not so great for being a human being, because the greatest instrument is the human mind, taking in everything every day. We knew how to speak the right language, and people could be prevailed upon to giving us information about. We could talk to any human being about all the pain and solve every disease. If only we could get the right information out of a single human nervous system, right? And you could solve everything. But we don't do that. Why? Because our whole culture is built on Egyptian alchemy, disrupting the connection between our animal mind and our conscious mind, to be able to tell ourselves, or want to, much less others, what we've really seen, an instrument of reality, in all of its pain and all of its pleasure. So anything that I can say, anyone could say, if you just consult your own animal nature, which is not about Fantasy Island where you go hump a succession of vain, ugly people on television. Being an animal is about actually being something that every religious person wants to be and can't, because they deny the animal nature. Not the fact that they want to hump their neighbor's wife, no. The fact that they really want to be in a way that's more important than being sound with your God, right? Which is why people in religions hypocritically do all kinds of fucking things, because they're not really sound. They're not really satisfied by their religion. Oh, sure, any religion can put bounds on your behavior, but no one can put the right bounds on your animal nature but you. Right? No religion says, hey, okay, here's some cards. Whatever you do in this wild, crazy world, try not to kill people, right? Don't treat it in a way that you would never fucking expect to be treated by another person. That's pretty good, right? In general, because you have to adjust for the fact that some people, that doesn't, because they don't mind being punched. And so for them, it would be okay to punch you. As Richard Bach once said, to love your neighbor as yourself is all well and good, as long as everyone defines love the same way, right? So it's actually quite useless when you think about it. So it's not a very intelligent thing to say, love your neighbor as yourself. It's like the stupidest thing that Jesus ever says. And yet it's considered the whole of the law. That's pretty fucking ambiguous, right? It might as well be do what thou wilt, right? By Aleister Crowley. It's the same thing. You see, Christians dupe themselves into thinking they're following some higher law, but they're really just doing whatever they want. Because you have to be able to do whatever you want when your animal subconscious has been thwarted in its fidelity, not in its ability to go to great lengths to help you survive, because it is the powerhouse of human survival after all, but to have a peculiar and a deceptive relationship with your conscious mind, and in as much as your behavior and your beliefs and groups and multitudes of them are bound to have a very inconsistent effect upon other people, called violence of any and every level across time, and your lives lived as though based upon death from beginning to end. Because there has been a death to your mind in this way, the death, and it might as well be a part of your life and your language, because it's kind of become who you are. And it affords you, like a bankrupt society, the opportunity and the imperative to become someone else, which for you and your family is the greatest evil that ever existed, as good as any evil could be, because you're wearing a costume. When children go on the stage and become people, they become different people. watched this happen. The only day of my life in high school that I suffered almost no neurosis was when I wore a Frankenstein costume. They would normally talk to me, all kinds of things, because I canceled body language out. Isn't that fascinating? And it was interesting that it was two middle-class girls who were talking to me. It wasn't really appropriate. But they didn't need to know my body language because I noticed women don't actually use body language very much. It's another artifact. I gotta piss. Sorry. I reach limits to my understanding. Try to get as far as you can. Let other people carry the ball a little farther. Ball, because the ball means torture and imprisonment and death. The death of the soul by birth, but that's what a ball is. Aren't you having a ball? Right? 8-ball. Ball in every sport. Putting yourself in the hole is like the hole in prison. Putting yourself in called the hole, right? Yeah. So we'll figure it out. And look at how people get absorbed in this subconscious language and celebrate and become excited about people putting things in the hole, putting the ball in the hole, as often, efficiently, as elegantly, and athletically as possible. Like magic. Got him in the hole. Got him in the hole. Got him. And like magic, a detective can get promoted faster if he puts an innocent scapegoat in jail for life. Okay? Because that tells them the system is working well. It needs to be able to exert the prerogative to do that. Only because that means it's getting some of the bad people as well. Right? It has a license to molest innocent people. That's why it does. Because they're motivated to do it. It's not just accidental. We know this for a fact. We know this for a fact, right? This is not conjecture. This is a fact. At a level, sort of working person, law enforcement cults, cult professions, this comes out because all groups have a cult capacity in a financial god world. Okay, let's get on. That is evident, that is extant, that is as it is. That's the basis of all modern society, right? The basis in time, the basis in Christianity, the basis in mythology, the basis in Greece and Rome, the basis in alchemy, the basis in literature and transformative dynamics and fiction and academics and psychology. Psychology and psychiatry is all based on what? Grecian myth and Grecian myth and Christianity presages psychiatry. It's all the same thing. It's financial, like matrimony. It's all the same thing. The sure, the costs, the debts, and the changing of identities and the wearing of costumes to relieve those debts by allowing the ball, the costume ball of the division of labor, to achieve its superlative environmental necessities and or achieve the satisfaction of its ultimately royal and barbaric prerogatives. All by your consent, all laundered by you and your children's flesh, like wonderful sponges of the barbaric leanings of the world, to make it all sound, to make it all sweet, so that your young daughter's breasts smell with vanilla potpourri, and they make it sound sweet. And yet, the vaginas will give birth to death for another 1,000 years. Not by their will, and not because they're evil or bad, and no matter how pure they are. And you should be mad about that. right? And then will spend their lives trying to counteract it and yet working for it and against themselves at the same time. Because in order to survive, according to the world you place them in, don't get mad at me, they have to become schizoids. Right? You did that to them, not me. Don't get mad at me. I'm just pointing it out to you. It's called owl medicine. You can't kill all the owls, right? Hoo-hoo, motherfucker. Santa, instead of getting ho ho ho, he's like hoo hoo hoo. He flies down the chimney and delivers. You know, you wake up in the morning, it's like Uncle John is fucking our cousin Katie, and Joe next door is a violent alcoholic. Merry Christmas. You know, Christians are always like, oh, the judgment comes at the end of time. Fuck the end of time. Let's start using our judgment now. What do you say? Then we won't have to wait to the far horizon of the drug-addicted hope for the future that recedes farther and farther, the harder and harder you have to fucking work for it. Like a heroin addiction, right? At some point, your life, your job, something about sex, all came together, pun intended, and it seemed like a really good deal. And you imprinted with it, right? You entrained. But the first thing that rich middle-class men and women do on the coast here and go into our medicine lodges, usually run by white people, that they're invited and encouraged and allowed and permitted to take off the costume and to become as though a regular person. That's what they pay thousands of dollars a year to do. They'll sit in Vipassana for days on end just to start to feel right with themselves again. Because working against themselves is the only way to make it better. Because all they do is work against themselves. Right? White people are trained in groups. I can show you examples to make things hard as possible and to take only the greatest kind of pride in doing so and achieving every end possible in spite of themselves. That's what white people do. You know, you can teach someone to be environmental, you can give them rules and laws about where to build their house, but you can't teach someone to care about and connect with their environment. What would you, if you took the average 30-year-old who'd come out of university in the United States, white, female, and say, hey, for the next 2 days, I want you to, tell us what it means to connect to your environment. Walk with us. Tell us what it means. Take us around your environment. What is your environment? Take us there. What does connection mean to your life? Okay? And if I were asked to do that, this is what I would do. So all the top scientists and psychiatrists would spend a day with me, perhaps behind this glass, and they would say, okay, Landon, your job is to, and anyone's job in this situation, is to tell us what does connection mean to you in terms of connecting to your environment. So you can start the clock. Clock usually means death, by the way. Stop the clock. Stop the clock, I would say. Stop the clock. Stop that fucking clock. Or you guys don't get a light anymore. Stop your fucking clocks. Take off your fucking watches. All right? Take off your fucking loafers. All right? Wherever you are, just lean back. Put your hand down in your pants. Take a piss. Take a crap. Get some water. Text your girlfriend. Scratch your back. Whatever the fuck you gotta do. Just lean, loaf, and invite the fucking animal inside your brain. Because otherwise, you're wasting my fucking time. Stop the clock and stop wasting my fucking time. Okay? You want to learn about connecting with your environment. First, start fucking touching yourself. All right? Rub your body all over. Curl your toes. Smoke a joint. Have a cup of coffee. Probably stay away from the alcohol. But if you're really addicted, have a little sip. Whatever fucking gets you to that. There to enjoy yourself. Right? Connection to the human animal is enjoyable. Everything you fucking do to feel good is connection. Is good. Connection is good. Hey, connected. Even if I were walking around and saying, see this tree? Look at this. Look at this. I'm fucking connecting. It's like, look at this. See, I chose to stop right here, right? And you see these stones? You see that mound? I'm fucking connecting. You see the way the trees are spread around there? You see how there's a little bit of a trail in there? Right? You see this? You see these tracks? Those are deer tracks. I'm fucking connecting. And that's just spontaneously, right? I'm fucking connecting. I'm walking. I'm connecting. This is a deer trail, right? I'm fucking connecting. I can go here, here. I'm fucking connecting. Look at this beautiful place, right? That's the trail that way. I'm just gonna wander here for a second. Look at this. It's a wonderland, isn't it? Perfect place to sit. Nice straight backed, right? You sit there. Lots of nice places to sit around here. You can go through these trees. Because lo and behold, this realm, right, that I'm connecting to is not like your school or your hallways, and some of them have signs. Maybe you can't go here, you can't go there. It's not like a hotel, right? But there's places that if I pay attention and connect, which is kind of the same, they can tell me where I might like to go. And I'm always in danger of losing my way, never coming out of the woods, and dying. On video right now for your edification. Okay? All that is true. Death walks with me. The more beautiful, the more deadly. Right? So a lesson to you. Don't walk off in the woods in Canada because you're trying to connect. Connect with your death first and all the potentials thereof. But yeah, you're gonna want to. Right, because I'm doing it on camera too, I'm also right. So I just connected to my mortality. So look at this. Nice. Walk over here. Walk over there. Now, eventually, the river's down there. I would probably hit something. But the thing about the forest, you think, oh, that's easy. You can easily end up walking in circles. Because what is straight? And what direction are you going in at any given time? To walk through the woods, quite often, the only way to walk is not in a straight line. And yet, you might have some place you want to get to just over there. So all kinds of interesting new challenges and, you know, so I'm just showing you a little bit of my life. And you should be relaxed. Smoke a joint. I think it's kind of interesting, right? You know? And to show you about how I connect to my environment, essentially, I have to connect you to my environment. Right? You have to connect to it. How do you connect to it? Well, first you have to connect to yourself. Right? Are you angry? Are you bored? Are you horny? Right? If you're angry and horny, this isn't going to be very useful to you. Unless I'm like, hey guys, there's a buck. I'm going to fuck it and slit its throat. If you're out there, you're like, yeah, all right, now I'm listening. I love this connection stuff.